We're going to go over some of the highlights of the annual Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. I'm going to show you some clips and things that they said because they said a lot of good things. I'll chime in a little bit, but I want to show you the highlights here. Let's get started. Hit that subscribe button.
It's in Irvine, California, and his question is, if Silicon Valley Bank's deposit had not been fully covered, what do you think the economic consequences would have been to the nation?
Well, I would just simply say it would
What he says here is really good.
have been catastrophic. And that's why they were covered. And even though the FDIC limit is $250,000, that's the way the statute reads, but that is not the way the U.S. is going to behave any more than they're going to let the debt ceiling cause the world to go into turmoil. And
For those of you that are concerned about the debt ceiling, Warren's saying they're going to figure it out.
Well, I can't imagine anybody in the administration, in the Congress, in the Federal Reserve, whatever it may have been, FDIC, I can't imagine anybody saying, I'd like to be the one on television tomorrow and explain to the American public why we're keeping only $250,000 insured, and we're going to start a run on every bank in the country and disrupt the world financial system. So I think it was inevitable. Charlie, do you have any?
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay, well, incidentally, I should mention this now. Ajit and Greg will be.
This is a really good question. I want you to hear the question, and then I want you to hear the response. If I just showed you what they said, it wouldn't be as impactful, but being able to hear the question and the response is going to be good.
He says the first sentence of a recent Financial Times article read, Charlie Munger has warned of a brewing storm in the U.S. commercial property market, with American banks full of what he said were bad loans as property prices fall. Please elaborate on what's going on in commercial real estate. How bad will the losses be, and what sectors or geographies look particularly bad? I'll just add an addendum from another viewer who wrote in and wanted to know if Berkshire would be more active in commercial real estate as a result.
Well, Berkshire's never been very active in commercial real estate. It works better for taxable investors than it does for corporations taxed the way Berkshire is. So I don't anticipate huge effects on Berkshire, but I do think that the hollowing out of the downtowns in the United States and elsewhere in the world is going to be quite significant and quite unpleasant.
Hollowing out of downtowns. That's what Charlie thinks.
Good, all right, but as they say, it will often involve a different set of owners.
Yeah, and the buildings don't go away, but
The owners do.
well, but most people like to buy with non-recourse in real estate, and one time I asked Charlie, there was some real estate guy we were talking to, and how do they decide how much a building like this is worth? And the answer is it's whatever they can borrow without signing their name. And if you look at real estate generally, you'll.
My God, did you hear that? That's so true. It's laughable, and it's true, and it's scary.
Understand what the phenomena that's happening if you remind yourself that that's the attitude of most people that have become big in the real estate business, and it does mean then that the lenders are the ones that get the property, and of course they don't want the property usually, so then the real estate operator counts on negotiating with them, and the banks tend to extend and pretend, and there's all kinds of activities that arrive out of commercial real estate development, which occurs on a big scale, but it all has consequences. And we are starting to see the consequences of people who could borrow at 2.5% and find out it doesn't work at current rates, and they hand it back to somebody that gave them all the money they needed to build it. Charlie's had more experience in real. Charlie got us started in real estate, though. I mean, Charlie.
Yes, it's difficult. I like what we do better.
Well, as Charlie once said to me when I was leaving his house a few months ago, I was visiting him. We talked for a couple of hours, and I said to Charlie as I left, there wasn't anybody else in the house, and I said, except one daughter, and I said, Charlie, I'll just keep doing what we've been doing. And Charlie said, without looking up or pausing a second, he said, that's all you know how to do, Warren. Yeah. He was right, too.
You're definitely going to want to hear this one.
This question comes from Rohit Belani. Berkshire bought a substantial position in Taiwan Semiconductor and, contrary to its normal holding timeline, sold almost the entire position within a few short months. While you cited in a CNBC interview that geopolitical issues were the catalyst, these issues were seemingly no different when you acquired that stock. So what else, if anything, changed in those few months and prompted the firm to offload close to $5 billion worth of Taiwan Semiconductor shares?
Why? Why semiconductors? That's a very odd behavior to invest like that and then dump it off for Warren on something so crucial as semiconductors and the stranglehold that Taiwan particularly has on that market. Let's hear Warren's answer.
Taiwan Semiconductor is one of the best managed companies and important companies in the world. And there is not, and I think you'll be able to say the same thing 5 or 10 or 20 years from now. I don't like its location, and I've reevaluated that. I mean, I don't think it should be any place but Taiwan, although they will be obviously opening up ship capacity in this country. And actually, one of our subsidiaries that we got in Allegheny is participating in their Arizona construction activities. But it's a question of we would rather have the same kind of company, and there's nobody in the chip company, there's no in the chip industry that's in their league, at least in my view. And the man that was a 91-year-old or so that connected with it, that I think I played bridge with, and in Albuquerque, and marvelous people, marvelous company. But I'd rather find marvelous people. I won't find it in the chip industry, but marvelous people and marvelous competitive position and everything. I'd rather find it in the United States. I feel better about the capital that we've got deployed in Japan than in Taiwan. I wish it weren't so, but I think that's a reality, and I reevaluated that in the light of certain things that were going on.
My view is that Warren ought to feel comfortable if he wants to.
Yeah. Put that in the minutes.
So what he's saying is he's uncomfortable that it's in China, and he thinks Taiwan's at real risk for getting taken over, or some kind of war from China trying to take over Taiwan. And he really wants to stay there as much as he loves that company. And he says it's the best in the world, right? He said nothing lights a candle to it. He just realizes the risks of where it is, right, in Taiwan, with China wanting to take Taiwan, and that there may be a battle fought over Taiwan. And he's thought, as much as I hate it, I just got to be out of it. I thought that was really eye-opening, and I wish he would have just said it straight, but that's what he said, kind of beating around the bush. That's really what he said. So that, to me, I thought was the highlights of the morning session, which they had some pretty good things in there, right? They talked about commercial real estate. They talked about Taiwan Semiconductors. They talked about the banking crisis going on, and Warren and Charlie both made their comments. To sum it up, they're concerned about the bank crisis. They think there will be a massive hollowing out, as Charlie put it, of commercial real estate in downtowns, namely office. And of course, Taiwan, they have a strong probability that it's going to get into some kind of battle. They're just going to get into some type of battle. My camera popped out there. I don't know if you heard me or what. So they're on the side of banking crisis, commercial real estate, office spaces having problems, and Taiwan having a strong possibility of being invaded. They're the best in the world. They get things wrong, of course. But it's very interesting to hear the most successful in the world have these concerns that it really is being a big factor in their decision making. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got value. Take care.